2013, the notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press, the Star Ledger, the Independent, and the 2 River Times, and by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk on January 11, 2013. Naaman Fiore.
Here.
Navesink.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Here.
Mayor Zambrino.
Here.
Mayor Shepard.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor the troops serving worldwide, defending our freedoms, constitutions, and way of life. Thank you. First item on tonight's agenda, we have a presentation of certificate to employee of the month for May 2013. I'd like to invite Patty Morgado of the Township Clerk's office to please come forward.
Okay. Actually, we finish up. The way we work things in town, especially with employee of the month, people are recommended by various supervisors or co-workers or something like that to be employee of the month. And you read them, and we have a lot of great employees, and we've had some incredible employees of the month over the years. It's really, pretty impressive when you see them back to back. But I think the town clerk and her assistants, Heidi Brugge has done a phenomenal job, and they're sort of the first line of defense. You'll see them as you walk into town hall, and whether it's a train permit or information or whatever it may be, the clerk and her assistants are the first line of defense. And I get more compliments. Even somebody who's fired up about something's not going right, and they'll talk to somebody in the clerk's office, and they'll rave about how helpful they were, how patient, how polite, and everything else. And it really reflects well on the town. So this was an easy one. And Patty, you certainly, day in and day out, they do a phenomenal job. Every time I walk in, they always have a smile, and it's really something good to see. And again, a lot of times, it's the first impression people get from the town or from the administration. We're really lucky to have you and have you be a representative of the town. I'm going to turn it over to Heidi.
I just wanted to say this, for this nomination, it was a little specific to Superstorm Sandy. We've had a lot of information coming to the office from different agencies and different departments, and without a doubt, Patty was able to bring in all that information, be able to put it in order so she could have at it, whenever she needed it, and be able to direct businesses and residents on how they should go forward with their, suffrage and doing things during the Superstorm Sandy, all the way up until even current time now, where they're looking for loans, looking for grants, looking for service. So we're really lucky to have Patty in our office, and I just want to say thank you. Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have a presentation for the Girl Scouts. And this is for presentation recognizing Nutswamp's Girl Scout Troop 1701 for the Do It For Your Daughter campaign. This time I'd like to invite their leader and the Girl Scouts, please come forward.
I'm going to start it off, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to explain what my rudimentary explanation is going to miss. And these young ladies have so much to be proud of, and this is something I've been aware of for a couple of weeks now, months. Because you guys are too busy with Congressman Smith at this last meeting. Am I right? Okay, I don't know. And they put together a PSA for breast cancer awareness. And I went to, I guess, a presentation you guys had in Swamp School and a big celebration. And it really is something special. They are wise and mature beyond their years to put this together. And they know, I guess, as well as anybody, that breast cancer and cancer in general is something that transcends all gender boundaries, economic, demographic, geographic boundaries. And they were wise enough to realize that they have moms, they have sisters and grandmothers and sisters of their own that could be faced with this someday, and early detection is the key, right guys? And they really want to get that across. And the PSA, if you haven't seen it, it's still up on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. You really have to check it out. It is incredible, and it's really polished and well done. And enough out of me, I can't do it justice. Go and see it. It really is something. And with that, you want to fill in the many things?
Part of what this whole thing was done with the Girl Scouts is the girls presenting their idea, the girls telling people what they've done. So it'd be very easy for me to tell you what we've done since September to get to this point. The girls tell you this. Just say it again, we do have a Facebook page to For Your Daughter. It is on YouTube, and we encourage you to go. It's gone international. We're very proud of that. It's been seen in 24 countries already. So we're very proud. We're going to continue. This is something that this is not the end of. This is just the beginning. It is our bronze award. We have the silver and the gold yet to go. So hopefully we're going to take this much further and receive more awards for that. But I'd like the girls to be able to tell you each have little sections that they're going to talk to you about very quickly. All right? I'll talk about Michelle. Yeah. Talk about what the bronze award is and how to make the PSA.
The bronze award is the highest achievement in your Girl Scout. It's like you have to make it's something that you have to make a difference in your community of. So we were taking a walk and we decided to think out of the box, and this is what came up.
How do you make a PSA?
Well, Tennessee, our troop leader, we had someone to take us and we talked about breast cancer and getting your mammograms, and we put it in we put it on, I think, YouTube, and then it got spilled somehow. And I asked you since we wanted to be in the TV, and we said yes. In the PSA, the moms were included. We included facts like early detection into breast cancer survival. 85% to 90% of women get breast cancer, and 1 out of 8 women will develop breast cancer, and then facts.
Well, after we made our PSA, we did many other things. Well, for one, we had our kickoff event for our campaign, Do It For Your Daughter. It was called Jam for the Exam. We held it at our school that's wrong, and we had many people there. And then later on, we went to many town pink events, and so we could talk about our event and get out the message about moms and women getting their mammogram. And soon we actually, for the part of the town pink, Bill and Juliana Rancid spoke, and we opened for them, and we introduced
after we put it on YouTube, the whole thing just kind of blew up. Everyone saw it, everyone knew about it, and half the time we hadn't even seen it yet. And people were coming up to me and saying, oh, I saw the PSA, it's so great. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I didn't know how they saw it. And after that, we were on New Jersey News 12 News, and we were on Fox 5 News, Good Day New York, and one of our troop members, Joyce over here, was on My 9. And then what we decided to do, we decided to go on a trip to Washington, D.C. with all the money that we raised from our boot sales and our cookies. So we went to Washington, D.C. and we visited all the memorials and museums and everything. And we actually got to meet Congressman Smith from New Jersey. And he's been supporting our campaign and helping us. And it's just been such a great thing. And I feel like we've all done a really good job.
Yes, there's lots of ways in Washington.
We met Sean Penn.
The mom's all excited because it was a But the whole point of it is that, it works because these are the girls you see right here, these are the girls that you see in the PSA, and that's why it works, because this really comes from their heart. We've all been touched by someone with breast cancer, and that's what they get across, and that's why it's such a touching thing. The American Cancer Society is joined with us, Girls Cancer is joined with us, Meridian is joined with us, Jack and Lance, Breast Center is joined with us. Everyone keeps joining the bandwagon because they see it's a certain angle that no one's captured, no one's tapped into, that really seems to work, and people go. And they'll tell you the first person they got to get their mammogram who hadn't gone, that's the whole point, moms, if you haven't gone, you need to get your mammogram. The first person who'd been too busy running around, too busy doing other things, thinking it was important, was me. I have been allergic for 2 years, and when we started the whole campaign, like, how can I support this when I do this when I'm the one who hasn't gone? So we know it works. We've heard from hundreds of women who said they've gone, and I'm very proud of them, and they're going to do a great job and continue to do it, so I hope that you will also pass the word along to it for your daughter. We also have a campaign promising. Pinky promise your daughter get 1,000 signatures on this big banner we have to promise that you will do it for your daughter.
What I'm going to do now, guys, I have certificates for each one of you. I'm going to give all individual ones out. The last one I'll read, they're all the same. I don't want the first one to be all the last one. Okay, so just hang on. Michelle Kayani Varela. Did you see? Okay, there you go. A lot of that for a second. Joyce Tipa. Okay. Am I butchering these names? God, the name like mine. Morgan Fiorano. It's got to be something. Jack, what did I say?
That's the best
Francesca Posnanski. Okay, so we got it. And Adriana. There you go. Okay. The last is truth leader. So let me get, I'm going to read this out. This is for all of you guys, okay? This certificate is awarded to by the Middletown Township Committee in recognition of your efforts to help the Junior Girl Scouts of Troop 1701 launch a new health awareness campaign. Do It For Your Daughter is a great program that encourages moms to get their mammograms. Good luck in all your future endeavors. Signed this the 17th day of June 2013 in Middletown, New Jersey. Named Jerry Schottenberger. On behalf of the Township Committee, we are all extraordinarily proud of everything you've done. Congratulations.
All right, ladies, now you're all going to shift this way, bring some pews, cut all your rights, there you go. You'll turn those things around with the Indian facing up, not upside down. Hold up, please, let me see it, there we go. Good job. All right. Nothing worse than when I let the Indian be upside down. One more time, just in case that clicking's happening. And congratulations.
Our next item on tonight's agenda invite President of the Middletown Disaster Relief Fund to come forward and Lori. And Middletown Fire Chief John D'Antonio, Michael Gentile, Administrator Care 1 at King James, and firefighter Art Mallett, and Fort Monmouth Fire Company President Buddy Scully.
Here's the you see a very big check, literally and figuratively here, and through the generosity of Care 1. I can't say this bit about Care 1, and I went to an event that Care 1 had with the deputy mayor, and we accepted this check. And Care 1 is one of those companies that sort of flies under the radar with the good deeds they do, and this really brought out the best, and they did the right thing by their employees. They really stepped up and did the right thing for our firefighters here who were affected. And they presented the Middletown Disaster Relief Fund with this $10,000 check. And
they've actually also gave the Disaster Relief Fund a $15,000 check also earlier on. So,
wow. So tremendous part of the community, and they really stepped up when it was needed most. They deserve a big round of applause.
The facility itself employs about 130 employees. They experienced as a result of the hurricane last year devastating losses. We had close to 30 employees that lost everything, as did many other individuals in the community. The company owns and operates several facilities in New Jersey. They raised over $1 million for their employees for the purpose of disaster relief. When I learned from the township, from the mayor's office, and Ed Scully and various other volunteers, we learned that there were tremendous needs in the community. We learned that firefighters who were out there, and EMT workers who were out there helping us, those of us who've lost so much, they themselves were losing a lot. So when we learned about that, we consulted the mayor's office, and they had ideas for earmarking certain monies to certain needs. So, fantastic.
Thank you. Just a great gesture, and it's going to be put to good use.
yeah, so again, on behalf of myself and Mayor Sharper, part of the Disaster Relief Fund, we are doing our best to continue to raise money and help those most affected residents. And just to speak a second, I actually attended a Care 1 event where they actually were giving money to their employees that lived in Middletown and Highlands. It was a very big event. And Care 1 has been such a great community partner, and not enough can ever be said about their great community partnerships. We're so very fortunate, Mike, to have you in the organization here. I'm going to, we have with us our fire chief and our fire marshal, John D'Antonio, our fire chief, and our fire marshal, and also the president of the Fort Monmouth Fire Company, which has done such a great job to get rebuilt, and part of the disaster relief fund also made a contribution to the Fort Monmouth Fire Company for $15,000. But in consultation with the fire department and the Disaster Relief Fund board, through the generosity of Care 1, Care 1 actually asked us, and what they wanted to do was also make a $10,000 contribution to the Disaster Relief Fund, and then the Disaster Relief Fund, in consultation with our fire department, chose a very, very worthwhile individual who does so much and gives back so much to this community, and has to the Fort Monmouth Fire Company for countless years. And it is my pleasure tonight to actually, you see the big check here going to the Disaster Relief Fund, but we'd like to present Art Mallett, a very good friend of ours and a very good friend of Middletown, with a $10,000 check from the Middletown Disaster Relief Fund to help you in your rebuilding process. So hopefully a little bit of a surprise and trying to keep it a secret.
There was, when I was contacted by the mayor's office to select a candidate from the fire department, as you probably know, it wasn't an easy task. But after sitting down and speaking with the other chief officers of the department and the fire marshal office, the part-time member of the department, well over 30 get done without them. And when I spoke to Wingman Fiore, it was a no-brainer that Art was a good candidate to receive this. So I'll turn it over to Fire Marshal Boskelly.
As the president also of Fort Monmouth Fire Company, we had 41 inches of water throughout our firehouse. The whole firehouse was devastated. We lost the daycare in the back, all the equipment. We were lucky enough to get the engines out across the highway. Art, who's also my neighbor, lives up the block from me. He suffered, can I say it, Art? Over $77,000 in damage in his house. So he's in his house trying to work, and he's running on a generator, hooked the computer up, and he's still doing firehouse stuff while he's trying to do his own stuff. So I'd just like to say he's well deserved, and congratulations.
There you go. There we are, see?
This one here, she can't spend. This one.
Let's see.
There you are. That's checks on cash.
That's true.
Much better.
And one last thing, I just want to say, one of our former colleagues once said that Middletown is the biggest small town in New Jersey. And you see why, when you have the spirit of volunteerism and community service, that folks like Art and Buddy and John and all the rest of the firefighters embody. So this is the least we can do. We owe you more than we can ever repay. But this shows how much you mean to us. Meet the folks like Mike and Karen Wan, and we really appreciate everything you do day in and day out, even the side of sand and everything else that's happening.
Our company, the fire department, keeps you pretty busy. And it's appreciated a lot.
Yeah, and we
Certainly.
certainly
So more than happy. It's a little delayed, so we're happy. Thank you very much.
thank you all.
Now, if you want to try to cash a big check, but hiding in the mayor's office every time you stop, it's not easy.
Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have public hearing of proposed ordinances. Our first ordinance, 2013-3088, an ordinance authorizing vacation of portion of Plattmount Dr. Thank you.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2013-3088? Yes, ma'am.
Linda Brown, 19 Main Court. Just have a few questions about this. If I understand this correctly, this is a property that's a little bit over a quarter acre and it's being given at no cost to the adjacent property owner. And the adjacent property owner is Atlantic Thier Company, Inc. Do we know who the owner of that property is?
They own the property. It's a paper street.
All right. Here's my question. Oh yeah, there's a publicly funded benefit that is flowing to a private individual, private company. And I think, we have a right to know. Okay,
It's a paper street. They own the property. It's on the tax. It's just getting rid of the paper street and the tax map. They own the properties.
You have to understand how paper streets work. The adjoining, if there's a map street that doesn't physically exist, it actually belongs to the adjacent property owners. So if it's decided that the street's never going to be built, there's no longer needed, it just reverts back to the prior.
Oh, it was supposed to be a street?
Yes, it was a future street. It never happened. So since it's need it to revert back to the property owners who live, who are adjoining.
So lawfully reverts back.
You couldn't charge for it.
You couldn't charge, okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2013-3088? Seeing no further members of the public come forward, move to close the public portion and move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkberger.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt this ordinance on second and final reading. Our next ordinance for public hearing, we have 2013-3089, an ordinance authorizing amendments to Chapter 16 of the Planning and Development Regulations, modifications and exceptions for non-conforming structures.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2013-3089? Seeing no members of the public come forward, to move to close the public portion and move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkberger.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on second and final reading. Our next ordinance for public hearing, we have ordinance 2013-3092, an ordinance repealing Chapter 110-1 of the Township Code relating to intoxication events.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2013-3092? You're up, Leo.
I live in Stockton, 121 Cranberry Court, Middletown. Good evening, everyone. Ignorance is no excuse for the law, the saying goes. That's why I'm standing here today. Regarding this ordinance, I read it over, and it strikes me as not plain in the sense that if somebody's driving under this canceled or quashed law, and there's not some other law, the person can be drunk in their vehicle.
That's not correct.
Right?
That's not correct. State law, this is already ineffective. The state law is preempted. In fact, there were class action lawsuits against dozens upon dozens of municipalities that still have these offenses on their ordinance books. They've all been preempted by state law.
Can I ask two questions real quickly? What if one of our policemen stops a car and they find out the driver is, in his judgment, is legally intoxicated?
They would be prosecuted under 2C or Title 39.
Under something?
Under state law, yes. They could not use this right now. If we use this against somebody, we would be sued.
Last question, can they use any public nuisance law for a person who's staggering around in any private or public property?
There are other offenses under 2C that address those offenses, disorderly persons types offenses under 2C and under Title 39. They're all preempted, for the most part, preempted by state law. There are some that are still in our code, I believe, that are reviewed by the assignment judge and placed on a supplemental fee schedule with the court, that they have to be reviewed to make sure that they aren't preempted by state law. So they couldn't even write a ticket for this. The court couldn't even put it in the computer because it wouldn't accept it because it's preempted by state law.
My ignorance is,
Yeah, this is cleanup. This is
my ignorance is great for the truth.
That's what we're here for, Leo. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2013-3092? Seeing no further members of the public come forward, move to close the public portion and move for adoption.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkberger.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on second and final reading. Next item on tonight's agenda, we have a consent agenda that includes resolutions 13-166 through 13-174, including bingo and raffle applications and volunteer firefighter applications.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkberger.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt this consent agenda. At this time, we have resolution 13-165, a resolution authorizing payment of bills for June 17, 2013.
Move for adoption. Second.
Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Michelle.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Severino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 13-165. At this time, we have the Township Committee acting as the ABC issuing authority. I would like to ask the Township Committee to adopt a consent agenda, which would include resolutions 13-175 through 13-179.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Michelle.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Severino.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
The motion carries to adopt consent agenda. At this time, we have Township Committee comments.
Mr. Massell.
Oh, really quick, Mayor, this past Friday I was at an event honoring volunteer at the senior center, and it was just such a great event. It was amazing when these folks, how they spend their time, volunteering, and it was a really touching event. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Mr. Severino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only comment I have this evening is the award of the synthetic turf field at the Nut Swamp School, which is on our this evening. I'm glad to see that that's been awarded. That project will start. I think that would be a certainly huge benefit to the township once that is underway and completed. And that's all I have for this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Fiore.
Mayor, very briefly this evening, I echo Committeeman Senatorino's comments. Look forward to the opening of that field, hopefully on September 1st, and also look forward to a great reconstruction and also reconditioning program that's being put on by the Department of Public Works and the Parks Department to those fields, new fields and rehabilitate fields. I think it's a really great thing and a very worthwhile cause. That's all I have this evening, Mayor. And also, I'm sorry, one other thing, I just, it was really great to see the Nut Swamp Girl Scouts here. I mean, that really did make national news, and just glad to see the Township Committee recognize them, and also, congratulations to members, which did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Been around town quite a bit the last couple of weeks. One of the things I think the mayor will tell you about is the fire department graduation, which we had a fortunate opportunity to attend. It was a wonderful ceremony, and I'm sure you'll tell everybody a little bit more about that. I also had the opportunity to visit Naval Weapons Station Earl with a community reception. They're going to have a change of command at the end of the week. We're going to have a new commander in there, and we're looking forward to continuing to foster a good relationship with them as we've enjoyed in the last few years in the spirit of cooperation in any ways that are possible between the municipality and Earl. And lastly, on June 29th, Fort Monmouth Firehouse will be having a post-Sandy celebration. And one of the wonderful things that those generous guys have offered to do is to help adopt a family from Oklahoma. And we do have a family that we're looking to help. They lost everything. It's a family with 4 young children. I actually had spoken to this person, and unfortunately, she had been rushing home to find her kids. They were in the River Tower School. And when she pulled up, at what she thought was the school, it was actually her home. So her home had been wiped away because she had lived right near the school. So the school was gone, the home was gone. Her children are okay. 2 of them were trapped in the school. So we're just looking forward to helping them out a little bit and showing them some of the generosity and goodwill that the Oklahoma Baptists showed us during the time of Sandy. So that's all I have for now. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Unlike my colleagues, I'm not going to be so brief, only because there's a lot of good things going on, so you're going to hear about every one of them. We've had a wave, and this started under Mayor Fiore, of ribbon cuttings, meaning new businesses are coming into Middletown. And this past few days, I've gone to 2 of them, and I have several more scheduled. Zoni's coal-fired pizza, if you know where Trez's and Beacon Awards is, they're in that mall, and great facility. The owner is a carpenter by trade, very interesting, and put a lot of work into it. So he really did a great job in the restaurant. He's got a great business plan and a great process for getting the word out and really drawing people in. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a great addition to Middletown. And also Ivy Hill Preschool. It's the second facility of this. The owner owned one in Rumson and now opened one in Middletown, right on Wilson Avenue, the corner of Wilson Avenue and Route 36. So they did a phenomenal job with it. It really is a nice facility, and it's a great facility for that part of town. It really needs a quality preschool, so we're really excited about that. Earlier tonight, I stopped by, this is the brief part of my evening, at a fundraiser that the PTAs in Lincroft are holding as we speak. It's probably over by now, at field number 2 in the Lincroft Little League field. And just to show you what a big heart people have in this town and how they all pull together, these are 2 Lincroft PTAs who are having a fundraiser for Port Monmouth families. So I was really moved by it. And I know Deputy Mayor Murray, it's a friend of hers who organized it, and it really is great. It just shows that once again that we're the biggest small town in New Jersey, and how we really pull together in times of trouble. This really is a great example. One thing I didn't get to mention at the last meeting was the reaching out event that Mike Slover and the Middletown Drug and Alcohol Alliance runs every year. And they had this at the last Thursday in May at the Art Center, and a great turnout, packed house. And it's, me, along with the township administrator, the judge, the police, several of the drug counselors, and it's everything you want to know about the drug problem in the country, but also how it affects us here and what we can do. And it was good to see a lot of young people and a lot of parents out there, because it's something that we all have to confront. Anybody who's a parent and has kids in the schools today, it's really something very unnerving, the thought of them being exposed to that. But it's good that we have such a great organization here in town to pull together and really give a support net for the whole town and the kids especially. As Deputy Mayor Murray had mentioned, the fire department graduation, there were 18 graduates. New cadets, of which 9 were from Middletown. Great ceremony. It fills you with pride to see people stepping up the way they do. It's a grueling, multi-week course, and several folks dropped out along the way for a variety of reasons, but you see only the cream of the crop makes it through. So we're very, very fortunate. We cannot say enough good about the fire department and everything they do for the town. So everybody should really keep that in the back of their mind whenever they see a volunteer fireman. I think everybody knows, or firefighter, I should say, knows one in town, and they really, aside from the financial aspect, which is between $8 and $10 million, but what they do for the town as far as the effort and the dedication just can't be quantified. We also, I know several on the committee here, went to a fire department burn demonstration, and they showed how they put fires out in cars and buildings, and it's really very impressive, the professionalism and the equipment and the mastery of the complex equipment. It really makes you feel good to see them in action like that. I hope you never have to see them in action except in those demonstrations. And just a few more things, the Relay for Life event that they have every year, they've had it in modern day. This year it was at North, raised over $100,000 for cancer research, tremendous effort, and you can't say enough good about anybody who would spend the better part of the weekend to raise money for such a worthy cause. And earlier today, the administrator and I sat down with some folks from the governor's office about the CDBG grants. And we're going to try and really use every avenue available to us to make sure that folks who are eligible are sure to apply for these grants. They're out there, and it would be a shame for somebody to miss out on them simply for not making the effort to fill out the necessary paperwork, albeit it's cumbersome sometimes, so it's well worth the effort. We're here to help as much as possible if anybody has any questions or needs a point in the right direction. And there will be on, is it June 25th? I believe at the Tanya Keller Center, there's going to be a mobile cabinet meeting from either 2 to 7 or 2 to 8. I guess we haven't decided fully on the time yet. But again, time for everybody to get down there and have all their questions answered. And the last thing I want to say, I promise it's the last thing, I was out at Ideal Beach with one of the local TV crews, and they came down questioning about the closing of the beach, and naturally I told them that there were two main reasons. We weren't sure of the safety of what was in the bay there still. There was a lot of metal objects, everything from cars to air conditioners, to appliances, to parts of decks, you name it. So that was one thing. And the other thing is that the flood control and the beach replenishment project that's due to start mid-summer would be too disruptive to have to close down the beaches. So we think this is the best solution. And I was really happy to hear some of the comments from folks in the area who really understood and got it, that this was something that we wanted to do temporarily to ensure safety, and also to make sure that everything is put back to its protective self. And I think it's really important to sit this one out and come back bigger and better next year. And late addition here, one last thing. Many of you may remember we had 3 lots that we were going to put up for auction recently, and we had counted on, I think, a minimum of $150,000 for the 3 that we were hoping to get. Well, they came in at $425,000. So this is a huge, huge win for the town, where we got rid of surplus property that was really totally useless for the town's perspective, and turned it into something that's really going to help us budget-wise. So that's something, and kudos certainly to the administrator and the CFO for putting this all together, but also a big hat tip to the auctioneer who did a phenomenal job. And we were discussing how valuable it is to have them come in who are pros and really know how to get the most bang for the buck, so to speak. So with that, I'm going to stop the filibuster and turn it over to you folks. Before we start with the public comments, I just want to remind everybody to please state your name and address when you come up, and please to keep your comments to 5 minutes. I will enforce it. It's not fair to everybody else who may want to speak or may want to get home at a decent hour. So 5 minutes. If you want to go beyond 5 minutes, we are happy to stay afterwards and chat till your heart's content. Okay? With that, what's your pleasure? Seeing no?
And I just have one quick issue. I've been trying to get an answer on this all week. Shadow Lake, there was a company that was hired to do herbicidal treatment and hydro raking, and we proved that just at the last Township Committee meeting. And for the bid specs, the first herbicidal treatment was supposed to be done in late spring, second in late summer. There was no mention of when the hydro raking could be done. So can you talk a little bit about the timeline for that, for the work? Is it being done right now? Will it start soon?
They haven't started it yet, but what they're doing is they have to get access to the lake. So they're trying to plan. They were last week planning out the road to get down to the edge of the lake to remove the material. They hydrate it and pull it out, and then they remove it. So the project has started, but there hasn't been any treatment yet or any hydrating at this time.
Okay. The question about the hydro raking, is that being done first before the herbicidal treatments, or concurrently? What's the actual?
Yeah, the hydrating is going to be. I believe the hydrating is going to be done first.
First, and then when that's completed.
Right, and then there'll be another treatment again at the end of the season.
And obviously, I mean, we're almost into summer right now, so the fact that that first herbicidal treatment was supposed to be done in late spring, I mean, our timeline now is not really going to delay anything.
No, we had a slight delay, but it really shouldn't affect the result of that.
Okay.
If you look at, interesting, if you look at the hydrating operation on YouTube, it's a pretty interesting operation.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, just one other question. Are people allowed, can they get into the park while this is being done, or is the park restricted?
Well, the park will be open, but there'll be an area that's closed off where they're bringing the material.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else care to speak? Yes, sir.
There, stop at 121 Cranberry Court, Middletown. I crossed 2 articles in this past Sunday, saw a ledger on the League of Municipalities, and they're dealing with at least residential and non-commercial property taxes. And so I have a question. At Monmouth University, a conference was held, a meeting. Did we have anybody from this governing body attend that session where apparently a paper of some sort was published or presented? No one was there?
We participated in other panels similar to that went into this, but not that particular.
Well, of course, this is in macroeconomics, and people don't take it up immediately here, but everything small is macroeconomics, even though it's microeconomics, because it all adds up, it aggregates, becomes a large assembly and composition. I was wondering if you could get a hold of the paper that was released, and so that I can, as you get a hold of it, I'd like to request of it through this governing body system to Oprah a copy of that document that apparently I guess these two newspaper writers got. It's interesting when you read this, you have to do some figuring, and I can do a little bit of arithmetic. It looks like there's a plan to raise between Christie and Sweeney, forgive me for not using the title, but disrespect intended, $1,000 of state income tax, over $200 million in the first year, add $600 million to two, and for the next 5 or 6 years, add $800 million, and I come up with a total of $4,600,000. But this is to be kind of a tax hike, and then reduce the property taxes, and so they don't like that. Nobody wants to run, I'm going to raise taxes to reduce taxes, which is the sense of this article. So here's a sentence. It says it's the wrong focus. Christie's focus on cutting income taxes rather than property taxes is wrong. So it would seem to me what I'm driving at is, I stood here before when Committeeman Fiore was the acting mayor, and asked that some resolutions be written based on Tolo's work, and he's mentioned this article with the writer of the article, and I seems to me that at least this body could, I use the word fashion, compose, mail out in the letter form and on to the people in the government, and I don't know if the legal municipality is doing it. It seems to me that there's a big oversight here. I'm not a genius, but I feel like a genius. There's nowhere do I read where this, when you think, wait a minute, all the money that's coming out of residential property taxpayers is income. It's an income tax, and when you look at the configurations, the methodologies, the actuarial activities that go on, you hire assessing firms, you hire tax assessors, secretaries, and on. All of those can be gotten rid of if you put it all under the area of income tax. My land is not productive. It yields no crop. I have no mineral rights under the ground. It doesn't rain pennies from heaven, as the old song says. So I have income right now as a senior citizen on fixed income. It seems to me that if they can't get to this, it's an income tax. The assembly people can't pass it off to another authority, another commission, where it's decided and they're not responsible for it. So I would like you people to get a hold of these articles. I can make them available with the Xerox copies and study these things and come up with some kind of...
If I may, Mayor, many, my Tommy's impeccable, many of the, and we can probably find the resolutions with some historical searches, I'm sure, from the clerk over the past few years, but they governing body has passed many resolutions with regards to property tax relief, whether it's taking school out of, having schools separated from property taxes, which is one of the ideals there, whether it's, I know Mayor Sharper was a big advocate of that, whether it's, stripping away the tax appeals for the fact that, that we get 20% of the tax bill and refund 100%. But look, in reality, we can pass as many resolutions as we want here in Middletown. The issue is the way the state constitution is written. And I have studied this subject, I have spoken to the Assembly Budget Committee, and the way the state constitution reads is that any municipality who declares bankruptcy or doesn't make their books becomes the unfortunate, the state becomes the unfortunate obligation for that municipality. So long as you have these places like Newark, where they have a guy who's a great Twitter celebrity, but a terrible budgetary mayor, continuing to suck the life out of the state of New Jersey for state aid, because if they go bankrupt, the state of New Jersey has to absolve their debt, you're not going to solve the situation here. The way the state constitution is written is the ultimate key problem to the fact that municipalities like Newark and Camden and Patterson, and I can go on for about 9 other ones, the more state aid they get, the less property tax relief for you, the less for me, the less for suburban municipalities, and the vicious cycle will continue, because I applaud Governor Christie for cutting some of the transitional aid and some of the state aid, but if you don't bail them out, to use a terrible term, they become the state's problem. And that will never change until that core fundamental issue is addressed.
Leo, the 5 minutes are up, and Committeeman Fiore makes an excellent point. I'll add to that. The governor has had an income tax proposal on his desk for years now. The legislature will not hear of it. You know what their answer is? Raise taxes. That's their answer to everything, is to raise taxes. So that's number one. As long as school funding is on property taxes, you could take out the minuscule amount that we got at each property tax, and you wouldn't even feel it. It would still be too high. We're one of only 4 or 5 states in the whole union that fund education on municipal local property taxes. As Committeeman Fiore pointed out, we are not only paying for our own schools, we're also subsidizing $28,000 a student down in Asbury Park and everything else. You know what? We make nothing up here. We don't have drivers, we use our own cars, our own gas. You know, up in Newark, each council person has a driver, a phone, a car, the whole mess. And we're subsidizing that. So there's your problem. You know, we can read all these fancy articles and everything, and nothing's going to change unless those basic components are thrown out and scrapped. We're always going to be subsidizing the urban areas and our own. And if you add that in to the union demands that this state has, much like California and New York and Michigan and all the other high tax areas, that's a lethal combination. That's what we're dealing with.
And you said it well with one word, subsidizing. And it is not fair representation. It is not just representation. You have the heavy-handed subsidizing that's going on.
Amen, brother, but we're not the ones who are in charge in Trenton, unfortunately. Hopefully that'll change. Thank you, Leo. Anybody else care to say anything? See no members of the public come forward, move to close the public portion and move for adjournment.
Thank you.
Mr. Fiore?
Yes.
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 Yes.